Kim and I have been married for over 30 years, but we started with nothing. People think she married me for my money, but that's not true. At that time, I was in business and I lost my second business, so not only did I have no money, but I used a lot of debt, $800,000 of bad debt. It was a great learning experience, and in the end we managed to pay for everything. How to pay off your debt as quickly as possible. A lot of people say cut up your credit cards, but I think that's really ridiculous, because a credit card isn't the problem. In fact, I love credit cards. Let's start with the steps to get out of debt. Step number 1 is to tell yourself the truth. I think that's one of the hardest things I had to do, because Kim never knew financial disaster like I did. She couldn't believe that someone could be driving a Mercedes and completely broke, pretending they were rich until they made it. You know, she was praying to God, Jesus and Buddha, hoping that the money would come, and pretending that she had no debt. She looked very good and ate in the best restaurants, but she was broke. You can lie to your girlfriends, but you can't lie to your wife. So the first thing I had to do with Kim was finally tell the truth, that she wasn't as rich as she seemed. But it's true. You have to tell yourself the truth, because if you have a goal of where you want to go, you won't get there if you don't know where you are. Step 2. Stop accumulating bad loans immediately. Sometimes that means you have to make a little sacrifice. When Kim and I moved from Hawaii to California, we were homeless and lived in the basement of an apartment. Sometimes we had to run away because we had no money. Kim had like $2 to spend the weekend until I got home Sunday night. Step number 3. Make a list of all your debts. The key word is all. Kim would give me dirty looks when she said the word everyone, because she had a lot of debt and didn't want to tell her. I kept dodging and paying bills here and there, but finally she asked me why she didn't want to tell her how bad it was. I called my last business and we finally had to sit down and write down all the investors I owed money to, as well as all the family and friends I owed money to. I felt bad that I hadn't paid them sooner, so she made me sit down and write everything down. Also, a credit card company can get really nasty when you don't pay them, so I had to show her the envelopes she was getting and basically tell the truth and face her. Step 4 is very important, and if you are deeply in debt, it is probably one of the most important steps you need to take and commit to. Hire an accountant. There were times when I tried to make my own books, but when I was stressed, embarrassed, and upset about owing so much money, I wouldn't confront the truth. Also, I was feeling like a mess and not very detail-oriented, so Kim and I finally went to talk to my rich dad and he recommended we get an accountant. At first, I thought he was too expensive, but rich dad told me that rich people have accountants, while poor people don't keep accurate records. This is step 5, and once you have a list of all your debts, you will create a visual image of those debts. Simply, in the upper left corner of the quadrant, you will write the name of the creditor, for example, my Visa card. In the upper right corner you will write the total amount due. In the lower left corner you will write the minimum monthly amount you must pay, and in the lower right corner you will divide the total amount owed into monthly payments. For example, in the column for the Visa card, you'd write, minimum $100 per month, $2,000 total amount due, and 20 monthly payments. This means that it will take me 20 months to eliminate this debt, since the total amount owed divided by the minimum monthly payment equals 20. For each debt you have, you will create this visual image and review it daily to see how many months it will take you to pay off each debt. It is important that you refer to your workbook to make sure you are clear on everything. When Kim and I met, we had nothing. It took us 10 years to get from nothing to financial freedom. She was 37 and I was 47. This is the power to focus on assets instead of liabilities. Most people are so busy working for money, trying to pay their bills, and buying up liabilities that they think they are assets. The first gift I gave Kim was to teach her this, and today we are financially free. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of getting your head in the right column. If we met in 73, I took my first real estate investing course. I lost money and got it back, but never left the assets. There are many people who cannot earn $1,000, and the reason is because mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically they are not prepared to earn that amount. So Kim and I are making several $1,000,000, but we wouldn't have gotten there if we hadn't once had trouble getting to $1,000. So every time we had a problem, we had to be bigger than the problem. Many people with $1,000 problems are not going to solve the problem until they develop personally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically to be bigger than $1,000. Number 6 is determining the order in which you will pay off each debt, and this is where the little circular number comes into play. You will start with the number of the smallest circle you have. People often say, "Shouldn't I pay my highest interest rate first? I don't want to keep the ones with higher interest rates any longer." But you don't necessarily need to do this in this formula. You just want to see a quick result that tells you that this formula works. So, we start with the shortest debt you have, the one you can pay off the fastest. When you see that result and see that the formula is working, it will encourage you to keep going. So we start with the smallest number. As Kim says, it's not about the interest payment, but the fastest you can erase. When you look at the average person, they have a job and money is coming their way. They pay for the house and the money goes to a bank through a mortgage. This is not an asset, because cash is flowing out, so it is a liability. The definition of a liability is that it takes money out of your pocket, while an asset puts money in your pocket. So if I have a rental property, it puts money in my pocket. If I live in the house, it's a liability, because even though I have no debt, I still have taxes, depreciation, repairs, maintenance, insurance, and all of this. But if I rent a property and I've done a good job buying and structuring it, every month he'll send me money. I started in this when I was 25 years old. I had a small condominium property and I would put $25 in my pocket. It was a start, a good debt. The debt was canceled and paid off, and at the same time it put $25 in my pocket, so I was making money with my little house every month. Today my wife and I have 6,500 houses that put money in our pocket every month. The people who live in those houses are happy because they have that place to live, but all this comes from debt. We have 100% financing. It's all debt, so this is good debt, and what makes good debt is 3 very important words: cash flow. We became financially free instead of going back into debt or just spending the debt money on whatever. But, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, we play the cash flow game. What we do is invest that money. In this case, with all that money, instead of spending it, we keep buying more real estate stocks and bonds. So if I have a rental property, it puts money in my pocket. If I live in the house, it's a liability, because even though I have no debt, I still have taxes, depreciation, repairs, maintenance, insurance, and all of this. But if I rent a property and I've done a good job buying and structuring it, every month he'll send me money. I started in this when I was 25 years old. I had a small condominium property and I would put $25 in my pocket. It was a start, a good debt. The debt was canceled and paid off, and at the same time it put $25 in my pocket, so I was making money with my little house every month. Today my wife and I have 6,500 houses that put money in our pocket every month. The people who live in those houses are happy because they have that place to live, but all this comes from debt. We have 100% financing. It's all debt, so this is good debt, and what makes good debt is 3 very important words: cash flow. We became financially free instead of going back into debt or just spending the debt money on whatever. But, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, we play the cash flow game. What we do is invest that money. In this case, with all that money, instead of spending it, we keep buying more real estate stocks and bonds. When we start investing our money, Kim and I have 7 cars, many houses, and we travel by private jet. But we do all of this with cash flow from our investments, not with our credit cards. We have no debts, but constant income that comes from our investments. Therefore, our assets are more than our obligations. The reason many people get into trouble in the first place is that they buy liabilities first and then try to buy assets later. This never works, and they keep buying more stuff and getting into bad debt. Instead, I buy my liabilities with my assets so I can have a great lifestyle. The best part is that we don't have to worry about money or anything, because we just have more and more money coming in all the time. This process requires discipline and dedication. Remember that it is a process in which you go from where you are to where you want to go. If you do not have dedication and discipline, the process falls apart. I encourage you to share this with everyone to awaken them to the truth. If you want to continue learning about how to improve your finances and achieve wealth, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Road to Riches. On this channel, you can find valuable content on how to invest, save, and improve your personal finances. You can also learn from the experience and advice of experts in the world of business and finance, which can help you achieve your financial goals. Don't hesitate to join our path to wealth.